What up, Black man? Welcome to the Dude Make Something podcast, where we focus on helping Black men to overcome mediocrity to become beneficial men for their community by discussing faith, creativity, art and culture, personal development, and mental health management. I'm your host, Jamiel Calpin. I hope you all are doing well, staying safe, making sure that you're finding time to create something and to help manage your mental health, your mental, and all of that, and doing the work so that you can become more beneficial for your community. All right, so we'll jump into the mental health check-in. I'm going to start with discussing like highs and lows, where my head's at. Maybe I'll also share like something that I created this week. So we'll start low. What was my low for this week? The low for this week was I got scammed. I got scammed trying to sell some audio equipment online, which is really frustrating because it's happened to me many times at this point. It's definitely been more than, at this point, 10 times that people have tried to scam me or get over on me in various capacities. And it's really frustrating. So recently I was trying to sell something on Facebook and I was trying to sell something on Facebook just to make some extra cash. And somebody sent me a message saying that they're interested or whatever. And it was just this whole back and forth, and it was just really disappointing because, you know, I think the hurtful thing about scams is that you get your hopes up about something. You're interested, you're excited, especially if you're like, oh yeah, I'm just trying to do something real quick. It's just frustrating. It's such a drag because people are just lying to you, being deceptive and all this stuff. And I think the part that's also frustrating is that person is putting in so much work when they could have just been upfront. Like, if you really wanted to buy the thing, fine. But if all you're trying to do is steal from me, just go away. Just go away. Don't bother me. I don't want this. Other people actually want to purchase what I have to purchase. Or another time that I was scammed, I was applying for jobs, which really sucked because I was applying for remote work and I was using LinkedIn to try to get connected into a job. And it was this whole thing. They did like this online interview and I was chatting with them back and forth and all this stuff. And they were supposed to send me equipment and do all this stuff, whatever. But it came down, they were like, well, yeah, we're going to send you a check. We're going to send you a check for you to go buy the equipment. You were supposed to deposit it a certain way and then they would get the money back. But ultimately what they were supposed to do is you would deposit this check into your account and then you would purchase this equipment. But all that's really happening is they're taking money from your account, and it's just gross. It's just really gross. So I mean, that was my low. Like, dealing with that. Internet scams are becoming, I don't even know if they're becoming more complex, but they're becoming more rampant. Like, they're definitely happening way too much. Way too much. And it's just really frustrating. And the thing that makes me even more upset about it is that if you're not aware of this kind of stuff, so it could be older people online who get scammed a lot often, actually. Older people online, or it can be subtle things like in your email. If you don't know what to look for, like in phishing or just like blatant scams and stuff like that. If you don't know what to look for, people can get caught up really easily because they'll try to impersonate you in every way. And the people who are scamming are trying their best to like be more proficient at this, at representing other people and deceiving people. And it just sucks. It's just not good. It grinds my gears. It's bad. Anyways, let's move from the low to the high. So the high for me this week is that I started a new job, which I am super grateful for. I'm very thankful for. It's an opportunity. It's an AV contract that a friend of mine hooked me up with, and I really appreciate it because it was very timely. And I'm very grateful for it. How I wanted to tie this into, though, what I mentioned about imposter syndrome, because as my first day of work was coming up, I was dealing with some serious like imposter syndrome. And I think it really comes from the fact that I haven't worked a regular job, at least in AV, for like over 3 years. And I was super nervous, super anxious about going into the office and, starting this contract. because it's been so long. It's been so long. And so, there are things on my resume that I do have experience in, and that I don't lie on my resume. So I do have experience in the things that are there and my skill set and all that. But I guess because I feel so rusty, I just really questions like, am I really good at this? Am I actually an AV technician? Am I actually like an AV specialist? Do I actually have like close to 10 years of experience doing all this stuff? I don't know. So, but I'm grateful that my first day went really smooth. And I was just saying to myself, like, all right, I just need to get through the first day. I just need to show up and I need to get through the first day. And I know when it comes to imposter syndrome, we can so often think so bad about ourselves and think so lowly of our experience, or questioning, are we legitimate in the things that we're trying to do, whether it's the services that we're trying to offer people or our personal experience. So say like, if somebody was like, yeah, I'm a podcaster. And even if you just started your podcast, you have 5 episodes. For some people, it may feel like, oh, I'm not a real podcaster. I'm kind of just doing it as a hobby. But like, no, if you're really spending time and investing energy into creating episodes and creating content, I would consider you a podcaster. But because we compare ourselves to say like Joe Rogan or other people like that who have huge podcasts, you may not feel like a podcaster. Or because you started your podcast and you haven't started making money and you don't have like sponsorships and things like that, you feel like, oh, I'm not a podcaster. That's not true. You are. And it happens for so many different things. We think poorly of ourselves. I don't know fully why that is, why we have these interests, these passions, and these things that we confidently express our interest and energy into. But then when it comes to dealing with other people, that confidence is just thrown out the window. And I know it's frustrating and paralyzing for those who wrestle with imposter syndrome. But the way I look at it is you just kind of have to put yourself in a position to just do it regardless. So it took me into my adult life to ride like a legitimate roller coaster. So like before, I would only ride like wooden little roller coaster. So if anybody's ever been to King's Dominion in Virginia, there was this ride. I don't even know if it still exists, but at the time there was this ride in King's Dominion that it was called the Scooby-Doo, I think, and it was in like the little kids part of the park, and I think that was just a roller coaster dedicated for that section, and so it may have had like 1 or 2 like dips or whatever. That was like the extent of my roller coaster experience up until about 2008, 2009. I think I was a sophomore in college, and I had the opportunity to go to, it's one of those Disney parks, I think, or something like that. It's like Islands of Adventure. I don't know. Maybe it's not Disney. It's like Universal Studios. But anyways, I had the opportunity to go. And while I was there, I kind of forced myself. I was like, all right, I'm an adult now. I'm an adult now. I'm actually going to ride a real roller coaster. But I had, and I still slightly do, have like a huge fear of roller coasters. Because to me, it's not natural. I shouldn't be being flung around in like this metal contraption and on these tracks or whatever. But I mean, I get it. Like I understand the science behind it. I understand the physics. Like it makes sense, like why you should be safe on roller coasters. It makes sense, but there are also have been incidents when people have gotten stuck or fallen off of roller coasters and stuff like that. So I don't think the fear that I have is completely irrational. But at that time, I was like, I want to conquer this. And so at the time, I had some friends help me to do that. And so what they did is, what I told them is like, okay, we're going to get on this roller coaster, but I need one person in front of me and one person behind me. And I'm just going to follow you through. So we're going to get in line, and the person in front of me, you just keep going. The person behind me, you just keep going. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to go with the program. Because if I give myself enough time to sit and to think about it, I'm going to chicken out. Like I'm not going to do it. And so the plan went like that. And yes, I was nervous. I was shaking. I was whatever, there were a lot of times I just had my eyes closed and like my head was down because I'm like, I do not really want to do this. But I put myself in this position where I had no choice. Like I forced myself to do it. And, prior to that, I was like, oh, I'm not a person that rides roller coasters. but I was trying to become that. I was trying to become a person who rides roller coasters. And the only way to do that is to move forward. So I put myself in a position that I only could move forward because the people in front of me and behind me wouldn't let me go anywhere else. And I think dealing with imposter syndrome is the same way. You can have these feelings, you can have these doubts, you can have these hesitations, but I think the way to deal with it is just to put yourself in a position where all you can do is move forward. All you can do is move forward. Even if that is, for me, going to work. Like, I needed this job. I need this job. I want this job. And I have to go. I'm not going to chicken out of working and making money and trying to provide for my family just because I feel like an imposter. No. What I need to do is get on the train to work and just keep walking and just show up and trust and believe that it's going to work out. Because I think the fear that I was having with the imposter syndrome is that I'm going to get there and maybe something about my knowledge of AV or my AV experience is going to be exposed, and they're going to be like, "Oh, you're not who you said you are. You're fired." And but again, in my mind, I was like, "That's not true." One, I know what I know, and two, I know I'm smart and I can figure things out quickly, especially when it comes to like technology and AV stuff. I don't know if it's a gift or whatever, or a talent, whatever, but I know I would figure it out. So holding on to those two things were like my friend in front of me and behind me. I know I'm smart. I know I have experience, and I also know I got to be here. That framework held me and pushed me to keep going, regardless of the feelings that I have, about myself or the thoughts that I have about myself. And I think that's how we have to deal with imposter syndrome the same way, regardless of what you're doing. If you're saying, "Oh, I'm a writer," well, whatever your why is, that's motivating you to do that. And then also believing in your skill set, even in the very lowest level of your skill set, those can be your two friends to guide you through that process. Because we all need that. Like if you really are dealing with imposter syndrome, you feel like, "Oh, I can't do this, I can't do that." Just find those two things to help you keep moving forward. And don't think about it. The less you think about it, the easier it is to get through that process. Because as soon as we sit around and question, that's when the imposter syndrome really kicks in. But I say all that to say that I made it through the day. I made it through the day. And after making it through the day, I was like, "Oh, okay, I can do this. I can do this." And sure, there's still like a lot to learn and a lot of experience to gain from this contract that I'm doing. And again, I'm grateful because I'm looking forward to learning a lot and getting better with my AV skills and all that stuff. But I had to get over that. Like, I just needed to get through the first day. And I think it's the same way. Like, whatever you may have, struggles with or whatever, find those two things. Find friends to help you keep moving forward. It could be your why behind what you're doing. Say with this, if you're trying to manage your mental health, your mental and emotional health, maybe you're thinking, I don't really want to get counseling. Well, put up two friends to help you just show up at the first counseling session, whether it's virtual or in person. It can be like, "Well, I want to be healthier for myself. I want to be a better communicator and have a better understanding of who I am. And I also want to be more of an asset to my loved ones." Being a better communicator helps me to be a better asset to those I love, whether it's my spouse, whether it's my family, whether it's my community. Put yourself in the middle and just keep going. Just keep going. Don't ask questions. Even if you got to close your eyes, just show up and just get through the first day. You can do it. Like, there's the imposter syndrome thing is like, it's a lie. It's a lie. And so you can show up and do it for yourself. All right. Those were the highs and lows. Let's see. Was there anything else I wanted to talk about? I guess just where I am. I'm okay. In general, I'm okay. Again, after I started working, started my job, I think a lot of my anxiety and stuff went away. And I know for me, I'm also working on making sure that I'm exercising, eating right, and getting sleep. And those are things that I definitely have to work on so I can be in a better mental and emotional state. Better mental and emotional state. I did kind of create this week. I journaled. I mainly journaled a lot. I'm trying to think, did I do anything else creative? No, this week was kind of busy, but I did find time to write. So writing is like usually my first go-to in regards to creating stuff. All right. So now that we've done the mental check-in, we're going to move on to the next section of the show.